Hello, everyone, from my side as well, and good to have so many of you joining today. And before we start, maybe I can briefly mention the QR code on the screen. So that is there for get to know me better also. So that is my personal AI twin, so that you can scan the code and get to know me that well. So I don't have to spend too much time on introductions. Anyway, you can also find it through valtoai.com, and basically any questions you may have regarding to the topics of today, or just to learn more about me, you can find there. Briefly, I'm a co-founder, one of the co-founders at Digiole, as a senior advisor, and I'll go through today's topic with all of you. So briefly about the agenda, as Oscar mentioned, we are going to look through the what's happening in the AI market now, and then primarily focusing on this knowledge-based AI. So meaning that in AI where you remain in control, whether that's for your product, for your company, or for yourself. Then we look at the couple of approaches more in detail, mainly for how to make your products talk, and then also how to get your own personal AI twin, like the one that I shared. And then we go through the simple steps of building your own, and then after the webinar you will be given also the recording of the session, so that you will have the guidance available from there, and then also your own control panel where you can start building those. But we'll go through the steps here in the webinar, so that you will have all things ready. Before we start, I want to open up with this one image that I created 2019, basically just to showcase how we envisioned the market to develop at that time. So basically the idea here is to showcase how the evolution of the internet, if you will, from the early geeks internet, text-based internet, to the first graphical web interfaces, and then from there forward to this gateway-based internet that we have been living for almost 2 decades now. And basically that's obviously the one where the information is accessed through these portals, either through searching for it, or then basically being referred to by social media links. So that's pretty much the internet today that majority of the people live. Of course, there's all the other internet out there as well, but main thing that we saw the world evolving to is this type of more user-centric internet, and more intelligent internet that basically opens. If you look at those, it's kind of like each have brought a new layer into the mix. So we saw that there's going to be a new layer again, and as such, it's nothing like you would think that how can you imagine it that way. It's more like how the computers locally had evolved as well. There's always somewhere the analogy that you can kind of take from that. But if you want to look at this more from that perspective, also that the timeline is that when we are now entering this kind of AI and agentic internet, we are in the very early days. So like think of the first email you had, or the first internet capable mobile that you had. They weren't that capable initially, but they are quite powerful today. So even if the AI technology is quite fancy, these application solutions and workflows and things are still very early days. So it's the perfect time to get involved and basically learn the new technologies as they evolve, because you are kind of constantly be hitting the limits of the capabilities of the solutions that you're going to use. And therefore it's easier to learn, like, okay, I'm frustrated because this doesn't do A, B, or C, and then suddenly you have those capabilities, and then you hit the new wall, and there you go. So it's much harder for learning the technologies when they are very mature and very advanced in many features and so forth. So actually, the perfect time to get things right, let's say, getting the foundationals right is from the very beginning. So let's look at the market shift more closely. But before we dive in, it's very important to look a little bit of the terminology, because there's always, like, we feel specifically now this major wave hitting us, and we're trying to kind of swim in the storm, if you will. But at the same time, some of these terminology they give like some peace and calm, let's say, in the storm. So if we think the term ICT, the acronym, where it comes from, so it is all about information and communication. And then, yes, it's information and communication technology. But if we focus only on information and communication, because the technology is just the means to an end, the ICT and the tech world that we talk has kind of been taking a wrong angle, if you will, that we talk so much about the tools, the technology, and much less about the information and communication. So basically why those tools are there to begin with. So all the applications, user interface, software, clouds, networks, hardware, APIs, all the technology terms, they're just tools. And at the same time, if we remove the term information, basically the very essence of all technologies become irrelevant. So I think many of you have used new applications, new project management tools, new CRM, tested some applications, and when it's empty, if there's nothing there, it's really hard to even understand what the application is supposed to do. So basically, that's the aspect of importance of the information. So it has always been there to save, retrieve, and distribute information, and ultimately, it's for humans. From humans to humans. So of course it can take many steps in between. It can be stored there for a decade until a human looks it again, or it can be through devices and so forth that are there to serve humans or to improve humans' lives. So and of course there's corporations in between, companies in between, as that work as entities to manage all of these different things. But ultimately it's from humans to humans. So let's go through then a bit more about the AI. So if we look at the applications more as a whole stack, basically we have the computing where applications operate, or cloud computing, or local computing, mobile computing. Then we have the backend software, which is behind the user interface. And then we have the information that we are working with, the data. Then we have the front-end applications that has the functionality for the user interface. We have the actual user interface. And then we have our experience on user experience on using that application interface or technology or accessing information and so forth. So that's basically the kind of the technology stack. And and AI basically has been pretty much as a backend technology, algorithms to do analysis or to do predictions or to do like machine learning based activities. So it's important to kind of really identify this new AI, that it's pretty much a continuum from that, but at the same time, it's nothing like it was before. So on one hand, it's not really complex anymore. It's very multi-purpose and in many ways different. So it was very hard to kind of know and learn and kind of think what AI was before, but now the new AI, and specifically with large language models and generative AI capabilities, with that we have the AI. So yes, so basically in this modern AI stack or AI today is now available in all levels. So it's coming from the back end to data layer to front end, the user interface, and most importantly, changing the entire user experience. So, and it will not stop there. So obviously it will join us in the physical world very soon. So I would say that the pace that this technology is connecting with the hardware technologies that has been developed for decades and decades, it's not so much that technology for robots will start from here. It's more than that this new AI technology will also enhance the capabilities of those developments that has happened around that technology. So that will come to us very soon in levels that it starts from having these in common use, in community use, in company use, and eventually even at private homes. So as we talk about all of this technology, the reason to mention the information and communication as the core purpose for all technology is that that's actually the key asset that is most important thing to pay attention to. So when we look at these approaches, like what's behind the AI, we can first start with the large language model. These are the so-called base models, the OpenAI's engine, or the Llama model from Meta, or Gemini models, different named models behind Google and so forth. So these are the large language models that are trained with vast amounts of information that in most cases have been, of course, the saying goes that it's used the whole internet information, but also sources that are questionable in regards of what has been used for training. But nevertheless, it's vast amount of information that are used these LLM models to make them available. And then fine tuning is something where you take an existing model and then you use additional information to further train it, to kind of align it more to a specific need or use case. So that could be the base model trained for legal purposes, medical purposes, or for certain language, or so forth, or cultural nuances or whatnot, while it's still keeping it as the level of the model itself. And then the third level of how to use information is basically this using this LLM as a retrieval an interface tool. So this is, for example, when you use ChatGPT and you do ask it to search online, basically it does the retrieval, a search request on the background, and then takes the search results and just understands them and process them for you as information that was retrieved from another source. So these three levels are important to understand in context of how information is used. So first and foremost, no large language models can be created without information. So there, the information is first and foremost important. It's impossible to create them without it. Fine tuning, without the information used to fine tune it to behave a certain way or understand certain nuances, terminology, or whatnot better as a whole model, again, can't happen without that information and without good quality information that has exactly all the meanings and nuances that you want it to have. And then on third, if you don't have access to more real-time information, or information that you want to kind of upload, edit, delete, then you have to only rely on the information that is accessing the model through the training itself. So think of the LLM model like it reads a book and answers from the memory, and think the LLM plus retrieval that it has read the book and have general understanding of the language, and then it has the book available or any books available, and when asked it can quickly go and read the sentences from the book for actual reference and then answer based on that. So when we go now into the where we have kind of started the evolution of this new AI, it starts from, for most people in the world, from the ChatGPT moment, and from that aspect where we are using the AI as one more application in our setup. And now, specifically in this year, we are moving very heavily towards this AI assistants and AI agents world, where basically instead of it being just an application that expects us to be there on the user interface, it's actually becoming more kind of capable or independent also without the let's say our constant attention to be able to do things. So even those simple things that ChatGPT does on the background, it uses some of these agents already. And then as we move forward, there will be just more and more of this AI agents networks where they communicate also with each other, and not only the human on the other side. And some of them never talk to humans directly, if you will, as well. And both of this development is happening on customer side, so on the individual side. So if we think as ourselves as individuals or customers or consumers, and we think about the companies providing, from companies and organizations providing products and services of different type. So these are happening on both sides. So this is the world where we are currently, let's say, in different stages, depending on the individual and depending on the company and so forth. But the direction is very clear on the world that where we are heading with all of this. So if we look from the kind of like, because it's hard to see behind the user interface and in kind of at a non-technical way of going through it, we'll just show kind of what has happened already in since the ChatGPT moment came and what evolved. So in the very beginning, it was only the large language model there that you could simply enter a question and it gave an answer. Maybe there was more technology on behind that already at that time, but for the sake of simplification, let's go with this analogy. And then after that, there started to become tools. You started to see different capabilities that it could do differently. For example, it could use a canvas, or it could process you a document, or it could create it could code a simple Python calculation, and then use that software to do a calculation, because the language models are not as good in doing calculations directly. And the next thing that you have noticed that it starts to have memory. So it starts beyond just the let's say the context window that you have had. So the conversation thread, how long it remembered. Initially, it was very short. Now it remembers a lot. But in addition to that, there's a separate memory that is basically it captures part of the conversations and saves them in a traditional sense into a memory of some sort. And then when you are communicating with it, it's tapping into that memory. So if we think in a human analogy terms, we have our short-term memory and long-term memory. So we have something that is kind of in our current constant mind, and then we have things that we store into our memory for longer term. And then the next step is that it's able to start to use applications on the background. So just yesterday or day before, OpenAI announced the Shopify connection, but they have also shown the operators and other different things earlier. And everyone is on the development of these models are creating these same approaches and even working together to standardize these methods of connecting and doing the tools. So that's what's happening on the technologist and developer side, independent of us as users, if you will. So when we combine these elements that are happening behind the user interface, we have visualization tools so that it can show you charts, it can show you canvases, it can create user interface as needed. It can code for itself, so it can do better logic. Then it can store information, and you can give information for it to store, and you can use other tools and applications. So now when we combine those things that are already happening behind the user interface that we use, that creates an AI assistant or an AI agent. And when we think the AI as a digital persona, at the same time, however magical and fancy they are still simply applications. They are applications in a new form. And when we look through, we typically hire applications to fill a role or a purpose. We give it knowledge, we give it information and data to store or use or operate for us. And then it comes with built-in capabilities that whatever has been built by those created the application. And then we have it access rights. So we give access rights or it requests access rights and we approve them. And then it has boundaries set by terms and conditions and then like hard-coded principles and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's just software. But here is also an important thing to look that a lot of this is also what humans have a purpose in an organization. We have a job title. We come there with our knowledge that we accumulated through education and training or self-learning. And then we have additional capabilities of using different tools, applications, and so forth. And we have interface through other people and other applications to access further information. And we have access rights depending on the let's say, the walking paths that we can walk in the building or what our credentials when we log in. Very much the applications resemble us as humans in that sense. When specifically in the organizational setting, obviously that's the nothing in so much in other areas, but in organizational settings, typically how we function. So this is also where a lot of that worry about AI replacing us is coming from in the work, and it is a real consideration to take. So a lot of that is happening, but more importantly, like with everything, is like how can it help humans do more? So it's more about people who use these technologies effectively are likely being able to be more productive than those who just basically do not use these technologies. So that's the first wave, and then there will be new jobs created in new areas and other areas where simply these types of things are not really wanted to be used by technologies. And these will evolve over certain times. So when we look through the interface between the customer and the service, and specifically individuals and customers, consumers, however the terminology, depending on the scenario, and then we have the organizations and services and products on the other side. Initially, there is this kind of use scenario most common where people are starting to use this type of AI interfaces and AI provided services provided by organizations. And in parallel, we are independently using AI in our personal needs in different ways for different purposes. And same are happening inside the organizations. They are using AI for internal productivity, co-pilots, and so forth. And then soon it will start to happen that individuals are using their personal AIs to interact with services that don't even have AI on their side. And this is something that will basically happen in context of the for example, there's already many tools that work such way that AI can make a simple phone call to call a service. For example, Google is using these types of AI agents that call restaurants and so forth to ask about their holiday season opening hours, for example, and then automatically updating those systems to Google Maps, for example. But humans will, regular individuals will be able to use similar solutions, or they are just unknowingly even some tools are using in the background to how it gets that information that is requested. And then eventually this will evolve to a level where our agents, personal agents, talk with the service side agents, and this is basically going to be the world that we are heading. So this will create an entirely new interface where this we need to have these AI agents on both sides, and in next 5 to 10 years we will have these basically all the combinations of these happening in parallel, because nothing like such transition, whether that was electricity, internet, mobile, social networks, it happens gradually and in different ways and different timelines, depending on geographic, business vertical, individual, different age groups, languages, and so forth. So in this, when we look from this lens, it looks like, okay, we have our personal AI assistant or agent, and then we will have multiple AI agents that we don't even necessarily interact directly anymore. We don't, in some cases, even want to know that they are there. Sometimes we need to choose which ones we use and so forth. And on the service side, same thing will happen, that there will be AI agents on the other side, and then these will communicate with each other and creating an emerging interface. And then as we look from our individual's perspective, we will have our agent communicating to different agents provided by different services and organizations. And equally from organizations' perspective, they will experience individuals, multiple individuals interacting with their agents, with their services. And obviously these, when we scale that up, this will create networks of AIs and ultimately AI ecosystems, or in the new terminology, agentic AIs. But it doesn't stop for people and services. These can also apply to places, products, pets, devices, vehicles, and so forth. Because ultimately, when you think about it, it becomes a very standard kind of a module or component that can be put to represent anything that you wish it to represent the agent. So you basically give it a role, give it information, give it capabilities, and so forth. And then each of these can talk any language, including machine language, so they can basically talk with us humans, and they can talk with each other using human language, but usually because that's not very efficient, they rather use technical language. And there's great demos online, if you haven't seen, where two computers start with human language, and then when they recognize themselves as agents on both sides, they switch to that old school, how you remember if fax communicated, or early modems communicated over voice lines to make their communication speed faster. So this world takes us into the talking products and personal AI twins. So if we look at the difference or comparisons between these, so a talking product is an artificial AI persona. It can be a product, it can be a service, it can be a made-up assistant persona, and it can be owned by companies, typically controlled over personality, how they interact and so forth. So it doesn't represent real human individual. In some cases, they can of course also have some connection there as well. And then when we look at the real person, the key here is that it's interacting with real person's identity, persona, owned by an individual, not an entity or organization, controlled, and all things, values, and things are built and controlled by the individual in question instead of an organization. So that also means from the communication perspective that when you are interacting with it, on the other side, you either have a team or organization's team, or on the other hand, you have an individual, that specific person on the other side. And these talking product AIs can have any kind of products, from a washing machine that stays 5-10 years in people's home. You can imagine how much happens during that time. It could be helpful for that time, assisting. It can be for venues, places. It can be to simple consumables, and so forth. And on the personal side, obviously, these are for all kinds of different activities that we humans have, and oftentimes we have multiple different roles across our lifetime, and often also in parallel. So key components of these solutions, knowledge-based solutions, is really the knowledge base, so the information that defines the knowledge and the capabilities of the AI agent. Then there's the personality, so what you want it to be, how you want it to look, how you want it to communicate, how you want it carry itself, having those boundaries, values, limitations, and so forth. And then ultimately you also have the interaction insights, so direct access to information that it's communicating with. So talking product can be any product as a digital persona. The knowledge base that you use can be detailed product information. And here comes the key part, that this is your information that you own and control and create. And then you should remain in control of that, and think how you best want to use that information. You can extend that information with common knowledge that is openly available, even embedded into these large language models, like history of a product or the product segment and so forth. And you can continue to add more and more information, or you can update and change information behind the experience that users are having pretty much in real time. So you can go far beyond basic details. You don't really need to consider the information architecture. Is this most important? How should individuals be able to, or people be able to navigate, and so forth, and grow that knowledge as you can see from the interactions what's happening. Then you can look into defining the persona of it, how you want the brand to be recognized, and how you want that to appear for the users. And then also you can see all the interactions that are happening behind the interface, in actual inputs and responses, but obviously anonymized in not being identified who is the one communicating, unless the person wants to identify themselves. So the approach is simple. To bring it to the product, you can bring them, connect the physical world and the digital world with help of QR codes. And by having this type of indicator of what that QR code is about, you can improve the customer experience and expectation of what's behind that QR code. The QR codes is, I think we can all observe how those are coming more and more wide adopted in multiple different places and uses. And here's some relatively recent studies of that as well. So in simple terms, how this works is having the QR code as a gateway to access the agent, and then you can open that with any browser, no applications pre-installed needed, and directly go to the information in a conversational format. Here's from the Finnish perspective, interesting product that you can learn more about sauna and sauna experience as one sauna scoop to interact with. So consumer engagement, we get actual information, instant access to interactions that customers are having. This is not only pre-product or in the store, but also can continue depending on what the product is for the whole life cycle of the product. Like you could be providing 10 years of value for customers of the washing machine. Maybe there's a subscription model to help them cope with different types of products, or you just use that for developing, improving better washing machines or additional products like to sell. So this type of interaction, you get built trust and user experience, and maintaining the privacy for the individual, starting from the anonymous level, and ultimately then in the other end, when your customers would have AI agents on their side, it is the AI agent that is also looking after how the privacy is used and having those conversations with the service side agents. So actually that was already. So in context of this, we are providing the talking product using the Prefina technology that basically is the one also providing the personal AI twins. And with this technology, it's not only technology, it's a principle and the value of establishing the personal data ownership in such way that the individuals are in control of their data. And what that enables for services is that you actually don't need to save the data on your side if you can trust that the personal information that you need to provide a personalized service is available from the customer side. So the reason why the personal data is collected to begin with is that there is not really a logical place where its information is stored unless individuals have it in a more technical means available. So then on the personal AI side, the personal data problem that we have today can be turned into an opportunity by taking control of the personal information. So today, as if we put our individual consumer hats on, our personal data is scattered all the ways in many different places. Very few of us even know how far it carries when they resell that data and so forth. So the experience for individuals is that the data that others keep about us is very big, and the value that we gain is we get a Facebook feed, in most cases TikTok feed and so forth. So there is some value, but for example, if we want to make search to our history in Facebook, they don't really care to make those experiences very good for us. So what we want to make possible with the new technologies, and what will naturally become possible with the developments, if we consumers want that and keep our eye on it, is that the data that others have about us will be reduced, and the value that we gain from it will grow, because the companies don't need to have it if they have it technically available from us. They don't need to save it on their side. Many will want to that use the data for other purposes, but that's actually, like, volume wise, small number of companies that actually know what to do with that data to begin with. So when we connect the public data and personal data, we get very much personalized experiences, and that's why our own information is so valuable. It is most valuable for us, and it is very valuable for companies to personalize the experience for us, and that's the primary use. But then, because that exists, there's so much of other use that companies want to do with that information, specifically the big ones that go beyond what we as individuals want to be done with our data. And instead, in addition, that our information is from all different roles for all the different purposes and aspects of our life, it's also from our entire lifetime. So it's very important to understand the value of our information and the vastness of our information from our individual perspective. And then also when you have your own unique products and services, the benefit of your own products, information, and the value of your information. So personal data ownership is a modern luxury, but that is what is the only logical thing that really makes sense for how we can interact in this agentic world. And that's basically what then comes to personal AI twins. So AI twins are positioned to be a primary agent to represent you and your information and your best interest in the world of agentic AI. So when we look at the AI twins in context of other AI agents, there will be many agents. You don't want to manage all of them yourself directly. You also don't want all of them to know everything about you. So it's only logical that you need to have one that does and is acting like your personal doctor or personal shopper or personal lawyer, your fiduciary, looking after your best interest. Then it's a different thing who provides you with these personal AIs and AI agents, but that's something that everyone who is kind of navigating towards that world needs to consider the aspects of what that means and enables us at the same time. So basically, this established this personal ownership through owning your data. You can own the behavior of the software, and through that means you own and control your own agent. The software will continue to update, it will continue to change, but your information is always what makes it work and what makes it what it is and what it represents. So in that sense, it's important to understand the function of the information in this context. So personal information has also levels of privacy in being very private, personal, and general information. Typically, our public LinkedIn profiles and personal information that we want to share in a trusted setting, and then something that we want to keep fully private. And we can use that information in different ways. And here's a simple snapshot of how to use that. The most important part in these architectures that we work with is that you are always the owner, whether you're the product owner or you are the AI twin owner. and then enabling with personal AI to build your personal agent over time. In today's world, as mentioned in the very beginning, these things operate in a very simple form, and that's the best way to get started. And then going forward, they will continue to evolve, and you will have more and more options also to choose the providers. But most important thing is that you have to take control and ownership of your personal data so that you can take it to whatever agent in your terms you want to use it with. So getting to the setting this up, it only takes a few minutes for you to set up your own talking product or AI twin, and then it takes a lifetime to evolve, while you don't need to make software updates on the other side. You simply add more capabilities and information behind the interaction interface, like you have already experienced in places like ChatGPT, who's using the same kind of flow and more capabilities to continue to come available. Here's some examples of AI twins in use for reference from lawyers, having this as an initial interface to having health advice from a provider of nutrition, and then also using this in organizational settings where every employee or team member can have their own, like we have here at Digiole as well, our own. So going forward, your own AI will become as common as your email or phone number is today. So it will be a more capable interface to communicate with. I don't think any of us like tons and tons of email or other disruptive messages coming to us expecting us to do our investment assessments while we are having family dinner. I don't think that's the right way to do it. So having AI agent on your side to handle things and communications, so information and communication for you is the logical outcome of where the world is heading. And just like the email, since you got it, you will continue to use it for the future, and the phone number. So this is now the beginning of the AI agents on us as individual and also for products and services. So the sooner you start, the further ahead you will get. And now we'll go through how to build your own. And I noticed that we are on the time, but because of the hassles we had with technology, let's make sure we cover the most important part here as well. So the AI twin or the talking product comes with a simple interface to interact that works on mobile or desktop, and you can have a QR code to access that and enter it. So here's a browser version. You can have some example questions there that can be automated or they can be managed by you. Also, this disclaimer is something that you can manage yourself, what you wanted to inform the users, basically for the expectations of how much information there is or for what purpose it is currently made available. You have the terms of service, privacy policy available for those interacting with it, and then on the control panel side, we have a very simple setup in that sense that you have your AI twin profile where you can create a profile image, you can name it and put basic descriptions for it. And we sent some of these materials up front for how to prepare for the information. And then you have the QR code that you can directly download from here or use. If you download it, it's just a plain QR code, and you can design your own way how you want to present that. or you can have a screenshot here if you want to use that identifier as well. And you can share it to different channels as well. Here's an example of how I have put that also available in my Apple Watch. So in the networking events, I can also easily share that for whatever information people, they ask for my LinkedIn, or they can ask if they can book a time with me for a call. They can just scan the code and ask from my AI twin, how can I book a time with Valto for a chat, or whatever that may be that they are interested. And then you can have your knowledge. These are simple text files, so plain text files that you can basically drop here or upload. And then once you have dropped, you can drop multiple files there, and then you can click the upload to submit those to your AI. And then from there, basically, you have the disclaimer, where you can manage the information about the questions, and the disclaimer that is displayed for the users. So here you can write your own heads up information, and then you can also choose if you show those example questions, how many, and whether you want to have just automated questions created based on the knowledge that you have uploaded or added, or then whether you want to write your manual ones and then or have a combination. And let's see. Also here on the knowledge, you can also download the information that you have uploaded, or you can delete to remove the information that is available. I forgot to mention that. And as your own setup, so that you will receive after this, you will have your own private dedicated setup that you can use to build your own talking product, or you can build your own AI twin. And if you want to have another one, feel free to ask, specifically considering the technical hiccups that we had here. Then we are happy to cater so that you can have both. Just let us know. And then you can claim the account under your own credentials. Once you receive this control panel, it's already dedicated only for you. So you have a unique URL that you can access, and then you can basically set up your account and take that into your control. And let's see. So as a summary, just want to highlight that aspect of the connection between the AI and the information once more. So with the open source large language models, we all can have those open source versions from GitHub, download, use them, install how we want to use it. So we all have free access to all of the world's open information that those models hold, and there's new models coming all the time. So basically, you should think that the intelligent and the knowledge, open knowledge of the world's information is already freely available to everyone as an AI, not only as internet or Wikipedia. And as such, your own information is the only competitive advantage that others don't have. So that's the only thing, that whatever you create or whatever you hold or whatever your historical information is, that is not whatever that is, that information is yours. And same applies obviously for your company information, your product information, your practices, policies, documentation, and most importantly, the interactions of customers having with your product. So don't be fooled by the technology. Technology is there to take the attention, but the information is where the value is. So whether that's your personal information or other. And the only true way that you can own your AI is to own the information that make it yours. So as said, none of these models work without training it with information. None of them can be fine-tuned with proper information, and none of them can retrieve. They can only retrieve information that they have access to, and it is valuable for you to have all your information organized so that you can decide on your terms how you want that information to be available in this agentic AI world that we are navigating to it. And if you don't own your own AI, then someone else will own it. So there is no question about it that there's a rush to equally as there was a rush to organize the information behind the search and then start limiting the or social networks and then start limiting the volume of people even coming to those sources where that information is. Equally with this AI agentic world, there is a rush to try to make sure that information exists on the service side and it's not on your company or SME or startup or organization or product side or individual side, but that information is actually on someone else's side who can monetize it better in this new world. So it doesn't mean you need to lock everything down, but it needs to you need to have it, and you have to have real means to control it on your terms. That's the most important thing. You need to have it, and you need to be so that you can control it in your terms and not just terms defined by someone else and used by someone else elsewhere. So thank you once more, and sorry for the hiccups. It also disrupted a little bit of my timing and flow, so I had to start rushing through. But yeah, as that was the first time for us, I'll take that as a very valuable learning. But yeah, next time I know how to do the setup without these tools that I noticed that were disrupting my flow.
Yeah, thank you, Walter. I think we are over the time, but at least we can take some of the questions from the participants. I have been following the conversations also in the chat, and basically people in the session are wondering how AI can learn from personal or private content without risking data privacy. This is especially important in industries like healthcare or therapy, where information, is very, very sensitive. So Sam asked about anonymizing data, others about being able to delete it completely. There's also interest in how AI can know what past conversations to focus on or prioritize. So the question is basically, how can we build AI that learns from conversations without breaking privacy, so people stay in control of what's shared, what's remembered, and what can be deleted?
Yes, thank you for those questions, and very, very relevant. So first and foremost, it's important to look at the which method of those three that I mentioned in the beginning, whether it's training the large model, fine-tuning the model, or then using the retrieval perspective. So the most flexible part is using this retrieval perspective. So that's also how the talking product and the AI twins work. So basically, you have a separate AI and you use it or use this LLM more as an interface. So it's a communication interface that doesn't really use any of that information to learning. It's simply it's kind of like asking from a human reading a book for the phrases and then explaining those to you instead of training the model itself. So it's basically using that type of approach. There is very little difference in the experience on the other side, but this also means that you can untrain it, which you can't do to these large language models. You can't really, when you train a large language model, you can't remove information from it. So the only way to kind of have it stick more to something else, you add more information to say, emphasize this more. But this retrieval base, it means that it's never going into the model itself. It's remaining separate from that. And then if it's needed to add to the model itself through fine-tuning, there are also already these kind of new modular architectures that enable kind of the fine-tuned components to be added in not permanent way, but in kind of this kind of modular way that can be ad hoc added or removed. It is more costly, and that's always a factor to consider. There's always a cost associated with this, and that cost is dependent on available budgets and available wallets, how much you want to pay for these solutions. So then ultimately you can train and fine-tune own models and control them fully, so that those same models are never used by anyone else except you. And then you can build architectures where these models run inside your own servers or inside your own laptop even. So there's all the different models, and the question is just which is the right model for the actual use intended for the purposes. So that's from the privacy side of information going in. And then if we look more from the perspective of how is it capable of learning from the interactions, it's actually quite simple. It means that those interactions that it's having, it's collected to a separate memory, and then there's a separate process that drives that memory through a learning process or as an additional reference for the conversation. So it's more kind of a hard-coded logic than any magic, but that's why it's like there's some benefits and reasons why these AI companies want to sell you the idea that it's all very magical things, or then they say that it's highly technical, it's very complex thing. Yes, that may be true, but that depends on how informed is the person you are interacting with. Ultimately, I can definitely say these are not as complex as flying rockets to the moon or building a icebreaker. So it's not like somehow technology beyond understanding, but yeah, it's just basically like any other tool. You just build it for the purpose, and depending on the purpose you want to have approach that is fitting to that, then it comes with the cost tag that is justifiable because the requirements are whatever they are. And we are happy to help in mapping and looking at any of those dimensions.
All right, thanks, Valto. Another question in the chat is like how do we add personality to our digital twins?
So the personality, as I said, these versions that you are going to get are the very early phase level. Think of the emails in the early days, the mobiles in their early days. So they don't have all the bells and whistles available right away. There's pros and cons for that. So the pros is that it's simpler to start. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg. We can easily give all of you free trials to use them, to build them, to learn them while they are still simple. And then more capabilities are going to just come on top of those products. Today, you can personalize those by the way you describe your AI twin or product in the description field or about field, and in the knowledge content that you apply to it. So the knowledge that you apply, basically you can add knowledge, and in addition you can add like questions and answers type of content. So when a specific type of alignment with what is asked and what type of information matches to that, what is retrieved, you can have beyond the knowledge it shares, also a bit of the type how it communicates that. And then on our roadmap very soon, we are having these personalization settings that will bring a lot more ability to personalize the way it communicates, longer, shorter, funny, more professional, and so forth. So those are then more of the personalization setting. And where I'm saying that on the roadmap, those are things that come for these tools that you get to try now, more as just an upgrade. But then, of course, if we talk about building more custom systems, those can be done already today. So it's just designing how you want to build them. You can have your entire own front-end user interface and behavioral settings and so forth, but those are not available in like out-of-the-box versions.
Thank you, Walton. By the way, the versions that we are sending, basically you have 1 month to try for free, and of course, if you want to expand this trial because you want to continue with the experimentation, so of course feel free to reach out to us. We can expand it a bit, but just for your basically for your information that you will have enough time to test it and experiment. And of course, if that goes beyond that initial experiment, so we can always have a conversation around that. And then the last question from Tom, how to prevent possible spamming attempts? Is the AI CAPTCHA built in, or how is that being handled?
So at this point, those are simply links that are not exposed anywhere. So basically it means that they are not indexed in any search engines or so forth. So they have low default exposure. Of course, when you put it available, it starts to become more available in that sense. At this time, there isn't really a CAPTCHA, if you will, because that disrupts also the user experience. That's one type of cost that they always exist. Those can be added in the customization setup. I noticed there was maybe one question that I just briefly noticed. Is it open? Can we contribute it? So there's an open source front-end application that can be customized to include anything. It can be put in different domains. It can be put with CAPTCHAs on or integrated to different systems and so forth as a starting point. And yeah, you can also modify those yourself if you have the capabilities. On the default setting, basically it's through throttling. So meaning that if we see like unusual, or the system is pre-defined in that way that if it sees unusual amount of odd behavior, it basically just slows down and ultimately locks it.
All right, so there was another questions about the price point for the service beyond the trial. So basically, I just dropped there in the chat that for the AI twins, for individual monthly is $24 per month or $240 per year. We can share more details about the commercials over email together with the recording, so you can get more clarity about also the different options for token product. But we don't want to expand too much in the time that we committed. And there is another one question that we can take it, of course, and we will reply over email. But yeah, I think that's the end of the session today. Thank you everyone for participating, for being so active. I have been many good conversations there in the chat. Sorry again for the technical issues. And meanwhile, today you will receive, of course, the resources the recording and the links to your to set up your own AI twins or talking product. If you have any question, any doubts, feel free to reach out to us, and then let's be in touch. Okay. So thank you, everyone, and see you soon. Bye.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.